May 2nd, 1964, Dedication Day at California State College at Hayward. A chilly breeze from the bay whips the academic robes of faculty members, visiting dignitaries, and guest speakers as they join students and parents and friends of the school in celebrating the end of a 10-year struggle to establish a new public institution of higher education in Alameda County. This is Assignment 4, the weekly award-winning Report to the West, produced in the public interest by the News and Documentary Department of KRON-TV. Tonight we present Birth of a College. These youngsters attend one of the hundreds of elementary schools in the San Francisco Bay Area. They already are the subject of intense planning by educators, government officials, and community leaders. Without such planning, they would be growing up into a chaotic world with a very uncertain future. By 1970, the population of California will be up 40%, but the college-age population will be up by 81%. If these boys and girls are to grow up to be useful citizens, they must surely pursue their education beyond high school. Robert Hutchins, educator and former president of the University of Chicago, says that by 1970, 1 out of 2 high school graduates will be unable to find a job. The National Education Association already is suggesting that everyone have at least 2 years of college, and that is becoming a minimum hiring requirement for many jobs right now. Not only is education necessary for economic survival, but the sheer growth of knowledge is one of the most important developments in American life. There is such an accumulation of knowledge that it cannot be taught during the school years, even in one's lifetime. A single person can learn only a small part of it. This knowledge is creating an entirely new world of work and eliminating thousands of jobs every week that require little or no skills. By next fall, 435,000 students will be attending public junior colleges, state colleges, or the University of California. San Francisco State, called by some the gem of the state college system because of its brilliant faculty, already is running at near-planned capacity and recently has moved to acquire more land and money for moderate expansion. San Jose State College also is a large, established institution which cannot accept too many more students. To enlarge it to take on ever-increasing numbers of students would simply make the mechanics of housing, parking, and feeding them get into the way of decent instruction. And that's why 9 new state colleges or campuses of the university have been established since 1957. The California Coordinating Council for Higher Education, an advisory body that helps plan for new institutions, has indicated that the growth of college-age population will soon dictate the need for new state colleges in San Mateo and Contra Costa counties. One already is getting underway in Sonoma County at Cotati. Classes now are being held on a temporary campus. What is now the library will one day be a supermarket. A field house is already up on the new campus. The rest of it is still open land. But perhaps the best way to tell about developments in public higher education in California is to concentrate on one school, California State at Hayward. Dr. Fred Harkelroad, president of Cal State, discusses the ever greater number of students.
Right now, we're set up to take care of 2,500 students. This year, we have that many on hand. Next year, we'll have 3,300 full-time students, and if you count our total population, including part-time, we'll have over 42 to 4,300 students altogether. Now, 10 years from now, in 1974, we're going to have 11,000 full-time regular students and probably 13 to 14,000 if you count the total number of people who will be here on the campus. This is quite a program in the next 10 years, as you can imagine. It's taken us 5 years to get off the ground to get these first buildings of our master planned total campus, to employ the first 150 faculty members, bring them from all over the world to get this much started. Now, in 10 years, we have to quadruple what we now have. And believe me, this is the hardest job of all, finding the faculty to do this particular kind of work. But we're going to be tooled up for it, I can assure you of that, because the faculty we now have are attracting superb people from all over the country to come and join us. And next year, it gets even better. Each year, I think we can't do any better. And then each year's new faculty seems to bring even greater people in some areas.
The Hayward Chamber of Commerce in 1954 began a drive to bring a four-year state college to southern Alameda County. Three of the men most instrumental in that drive were honored on the 1st of May at the Cal State Recognition Dinner. They were former State Senator Arthur Breed, Jack Rees, now deputy head of the California Teachers Association, but who was then superintendent of the Hayward Elementary Schools, and Calvin Rule of the Hayward Chamber of Commerce. The fourth leader in that drive, Francis Dunn, was unable to attend. Their first effort to gain legislative approval for the college in 1955 was a failure, but in 1957 the legislature approved the bill. Assemblyman Carlos B. of Hayward recalls what happened next.
The problem was to face Governor Knight. I had been kind to him in the years that I had been up there. I would say kinder than some of my Republican friends have been to Brown and vice versa in the last few years. So I went down to see him right after the session had adjourned, and the governor said, "I'm too busy now. Carlos, I have to get out and talk to the people." But he says, "I'll be in touch." So immediately we had planned our family to go on a vacation. We sent telegrams to the governor, people from this area, letters. We had important visits by citizens from this community, from both parties, but we could never quite get through to the governor. Well, I got a wire that the governor was going to be at the July 4th celebration of the county fair at Pleasanton. And would I come and welcome him? Would I? I certainly would. It would be the first time I'd been able to see him since we'd adjourned. Now, if some of you know Governor Knight, he is a very energetic person. He never sits still. He gave up smoking, so now he chews gum, mints, and so forth, and he's constantly popping something into his mouth. But he was up for re-election, and he enjoyed the fair. He ran up and down the aisles. He shook hands. He passed out cards. All the time I'm right behind him, Governor, I'd like to talk to you about the State College. And he keeps saying, "Not now, Carlos, I'm too busy. I'll see you a little bit later." So I'm out of breath by now. I've been chasing him for 2 hours, getting him more popcorn, Eskimo pies, etc. And finally he says, "Carlos, I'm ready to go back to Sacramento." I said, "Governor, can I talk to you for just a minute?" He says, "Well, get in the car and we'll ride out the gate. And I'll let you out at the gate." So I got in and he says, "What is it you want, Carlos?" Going on for 2 months, you know. This is really actually the truth. I'm not lying. So as we got to the gate, I said, "Governor, would you sign AB4 for the new state college in southern Alameda County?" Well, he said, "Is that all you wanted?" And I said, "Yes, Governor, that's all I wanted." He said, "Why, you may be assured when I get back to Sacramento, I will sign it the first thing in the morning." So on July 5th, keeping his promise, I got a phone call at 10 a.m. at my home in Hayward. He said that he had signed the bill. It was now on its way to Secretary of State Frank Jordan. So on July 5th, then, of 1957, it became Chapter 1681 of the Education Code.
Dale Wren, Executive Dean of Cal State at Hayward, also the golf coach, has been with the college since the four-man staff held faculty meetings in a state-owned automobile. He tells what happened once Governor Knight signed the bill, making the school a reality.
President Harker started with really nothing except a briefcase and a piece of paper indicating that he was president, and I think a budget of about $39,000 to carry him through June of that year. He then began to recruit his initial cadre or planning staff, of which I was one of the early members, and our first headquarters for operation was in two offices that the County Superintendent of Schools in Alameda County provided for us. Our first classes were held in a high school in the city of Hayward, Sunset High School, which at that time was not quite filled with students, and they provided us some minimum space to house our initial classes and the beginning of the library. We stayed there for 1 year, and then of course we began to feel acceleration of growth, and the following year we moved into a high school that was located in another area of the city, Hayward High School, which also was in an area that the student population was decreasing and the high school enrollment was low, so there was space for us. And this was our home for, well, until we moved to the permanent site.
Dean Wren explained that before the final site was selected, 17 locations were studied, and sites in Pleasanton and an area of Hayward near Union City were temporarily chosen and discarded, before the Hawsholt Ranch on the hilltop overlooking Hayward was chosen. At the recognition dinner, two men responsible for selecting that site were honored. They were Guy Warren, now one of the trustees of the California State College, and Earl Clement. These two Hayward leaders invested $5,000 of their own money for an engineering study because they were sure the ranch could be landscaped into a college campus without prohibitive cost.
Groundbreaking took place on February the 22nd, 1961, just a few months after the site was selected. At that time, this ranch was a very pastoral scene. It was full of cattle grazing in lush green meadows with wildflowers growing on it. The campus, or the future campus, also had still does, but at that time had a large herd of deer on it, and it looked anything but like a college site. We had about 2,000 people to groundbreaking, held at the lower end of the campus, and it was quite an affair to see cattle grazing on this site and at the same time breaking ground for the beginning of the site development. We now have 4 buildings on the campus. We have the Fine Arts Building, designed by Richard Neutra. We have the Science Building, designed by the Division of Architecture. And then we have 2 smaller structures, the boiler plant and the field house. We have other buildings programmed in the campus development. One of them coming out of the ground right now, the music building. This will be a beautiful structure. It's designed by Kitchen and Hunt of San Francisco. I'd say at the present time we have about $21 million invested in this campus, including site acquisition, site development, and construction, which is already funded. Future building development is on the drawing boards. We have a cafeteria that's in working drawing stage, designed by Camel and Wong of San Francisco. We have a large 2,000 FTE classroom that is now in preliminary planning. The architect for this building is Skidmore, Owens and Merrill, a world-famous architectural firm. We have a theme building which will house our future library, administration, audiovisual complex, and in which we hope to incorporate all of the learning resources, including computer science, television, this sort of thing, to improve the instructional process on the campus. So our building program is really on the way. It's estimated that when the campus is really complete in its ultimate development, we will expend somewhere between $70 and $80 million total for the campus development. As you know, we're master planning the campus for 15,000 full-time students. This means we have to accommodate about 22,000 individuals on the campus each day. I think our main problem is going to be access and egress to the campus, even though we have a major freeway system designed to serve it. And of course, the other major problem, which we have with us in all campuses in the country today, it seems, is parking. This is a problem I don't know how we're going to solve.
Biology is said by many to be the fastest growing field of knowledge, one in which the extent of new learning about the secrets of life and creation will profoundly affect the future of mankind. These students working in a modern laboratory with the newest equipment are being instructed in the elementary principles of biology by Dr. George Peterson. Those with the interest and aptitude may go on to take more advanced classes in biology and eventually into a combination of teaching and research for new knowledge. Across the hall, students under the direction of Steve Grillos are learning plant taxonomy. One of the projects they are undertaking is collection and preservation of every type of plant native to California. Extra samples then will be traded to other institutions for samples of plant life not found in California. But classroom activity and homework are not a total education. President Harkleroad explains.
I should tell you also about our approach to the other important activities that take place on a college campus. We call it the voluntary educational program, as contrasted with the regular educational program, which they take in the classes and in the papers they write. These voluntary activities are extremely important. They create the feel of a campus, the spirit of a campus, the elan, if you will, of the campus. And we think they're terribly important and spend a good deal of time on them, even though they're voluntary for the students. These are things like our musical productions, our drama productions, the intercollegiate athletic program, actually. We consider part of the instructional program of the college. And all of our physical education instructors and coaches are part of the regular faculty, treated in exactly the same way as any other member of the teaching faculty. Incidentally, if your children are interested in participating in drama or music, speech activities, athletics, there'll be plenty of chance for them to do it, because we don't go out and recruit people to do any of these things. Some places go out and try and find drum majorettes and halfbacks. Our faculty have the understanding that they don't do this, and all we expect them to do is to take the people who want to come and give them a superb education in these voluntary out-of-class activities.
By 1975, more than 1 million students will be attending California institutions of higher education, about two-thirds of them on a full-time basis. Because construction can hardly keep pace with the need, and because unused facilities are a wasteful expense, college is becoming more of a year-round institution. Cal State is the pioneer in this program.
5 years ago, we gambled. We started on the quarter system because it seemed to us that eventually we had to get better use out of our plants, and we had to have year-round education in order to speed up the opportunity for students to get their education and get out in society and put it to work. We're very pleased that 5 years later we find the gamble has paid off. It's my understanding that our trustees have now presented to the legislature a plan for our college to be the first college in the state college system to go on the quarter system on a year-round basis, and we expect to be offering, or at least we hope to be offering, a full year-round four-quarter program in 1965. This will give students an opportunity to start any one of 4 quarters and take a full program of classwork in 3 years.
The climax of 10 years of work and planning culminate on the 2nd of May, 1964, in the procession of some 300 official delegates to dedication ceremonies on the Hayward campus. All week long, parents and other friends of the new college have attended concerts, lectures, and other cultural events. Officials of the school hope this will be only the beginning of a close association between college and community. President Clark Kerr of the University of California has asserted that knowledge, the invisible product of universities, may now be the most powerful single element in our culture, affecting the rise and fall of professions, social sciences, and even nations. He spoke for the entire community of learning in welcoming Cal State to the ranks of higher education.
Since the days of the 49ers, the people of California, their legislators, so well represented here today by Carlos B., as the people of this area have been so well represented in the past in Sacramento by George Miller, now congressman, who's been introduced to you already, and also by Tom Caldecott, who is the chairman of the advisory board for this new college. And also their governors, and particularly our present governor, Governor Brown. The people of the state, their legislators and governors, have instinctively understood that the Commonwealth prospers in large part to the extent that it provides ready opportunity for all of its citizens to secure education appropriate to their interests and abilities. The system of education built up in California as a result of this understanding is widely admired and is being imitated in more and more parts of the world. In higher education, the university, the California state colleges, the junior colleges, and the many fine private institutions cooperate to provide for the young people of California educational opportunities unsurpassed in quality, in scope, and diversity, perhaps unsurpassed in the entire world. It is to this company of institutions that we now gather to welcome the California State College at Hayward, to dedicate this new campus to the special service for which it has been established. The future prospects of the college are bright. Alameda County is one of the areas of the greatest present and potential growth in the nation. California in general, and the San Francisco Bay Area in particular, are among the most hospitable regions for educational endeavors that the world has ever seen. Its location in this dynamic part of the world is a happy augury for this new institution. We greet it now with confident hope and great expectations, and pledge our friendship and cooperation in the pursuit of the purposes which we all share. Thank you.
California's Governor Edmund Pat Brown, the chief speaker at the dedication ceremonies, reminded his audience that higher education is not only an obligation, but an investment in the future.
When we dedicate a college, we know that it will not be just a warehouse for knowledge, a static force. Rather, it'll be a positive force in society, a training ground for the youth who will direct the fortunes and the futures of the nation's leading state. Beyond that, into the national capital, and truly all over the world. And if we are to succeed, it becomes my painful duty as governor to remind our citizens that the investment requires money. And when I say painful, it's painful for me too. People don't like to talk about taxes or even think about them. But during my 5.5 years as governor, I've had to assign priorities to various things as they come before me in the job of preparing the budget of our state. And I have premeditatedly assigned the highest priority to education. And I have consistently urged the legislature to give us the financing and support for a program of educational development and expansion that has not been matched in this nation's history. As one example, here at Hayward, we've already invested a total of $25,100,000 in this new college. Second, I hope that you'll do everything within your power to help win passage of the construction bonds this year, which will make possible the extension of all facilities of public education. I've asked the legislature to place on the November ballot a $370 million state construction bond act, which is absolutely essential if we are to give needed support to this college and all other parts of our system of public education.
As the dedication ceremonies conclude, Glenn Dumke, Chancellor of the California State Colleges, and President Harkleroad unveil a plaque to commemorate the day. Cal State at Hayward, like the other 17 state colleges, seeks to give the student a good education in the sciences and liberal arts. But one of the major tasks of these colleges is to turn out teachers for California's ever-increasing grade and high school population. One of the many families attending the dedication ceremonies at Cal State was that of C.H. Murphy, a construction contractor whose home is in nearby Castro Valley. Their daughter, Marcia, joined the first freshman class at Cal State. She and her parents told why.
Well, it was a family decision more than anything else. There were friends who were on the executive staff here at the college who suggested that it would be interesting, if not exciting, for me to be one of the first members of the first freshman class here at the college. And I agreed with this. And I found that it has been, just as they had promised, exciting.
Well, I think that as the mother of 5, we felt very pleased to know that Cal State was going to be so near to our home. And we have high hopes of all the children going here. And I plan to come in the fall myself for some additional courses.
We think that the new college here on the hill at Hayward is very good as a community thing, and we certainly are thrilled to be a part of the community that it's in.
Although Cal State was not dedicated until May 1964, many of her graduates already are serving the community. Last year's graduating class totaled 150. This year the number will be about 250. The current freshman class totals more than 600, and applications for admittance to next year's freshman class already are running 100% above last year. Clearly, Cal State at Hayward is fulfilling the need envisioned by leaders of the community 10 years ago. Assignment 4 is produced in the community interest each week at this time by the News and Documentary Department of KRON-TV. Be with us again next week for another report to the West on Assignment 4.